So I'm having a chat with Catlea. How are you?
I'm good. How are you, Jim?
Not too bad, not too bad. Thanks so much. So we've been playing a new single of yours called Why Them. Tell us a bit about the single, first of all.
So, Why Them is actually the second song on my recently released album, Language Barrier. And it is the story, or I guess the beginning of the story, basically, of the story of language barrier, where I'm talking about being in this relationship and why am I in this relationship. The story behind why I actually wrote the song is that a friend of mine texted me and said, I don't want you to answer. I don't want to know what you have to say about it. I'm just going to say the question and I want us to move on. And then they texted me the phrase, why them? And so, because I couldn't respond over text, obviously I screenshotted it, put it in my notes app, and then wrote a whole song about it. Um, and so I'm basically like acknowledging throughout the song. I mean, the very first line it is I don't make good choices, I avoid them like the plague. The whole song is me saying, I know that this isn't good. I know that I'm not happy. I know that I should probably be with someone else or take time for myself, but I'm coming to terms with that as the song goes on. And so it's the beginning basically of the story of what I was going through at that point in my life.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And that is off your debut record, which you mentioned, Language Barrier, which is out now. For those who've not had chance to take a listen, tell us a bit about the record.
The Language Barrier is, like you said, my debut album, and it is a concept album about a relationship that I went through and the way that I was feeling at the time. Um, at that point in my life, I felt like it was very hard for me to communicate with others. I felt like I didn't really know how to say things in a way where people understood, regardless of what language I was speaking. I just felt like I wasn't being heard, and I felt like I couldn't really understand the people around me. And so I wrote this album about what I was going through and what I was feeling. And over the process of me writing it, recording it, and obviously releasing it, obviously a lot has changed. I've grown a lot since then. And one of the things that's really important that I feel like really encapsulates the whole point of the album is I've realized that a lot of people actually feel very similarly to how I felt while I was writing it. And it's helped me to understand other people as well.
Yeah, yeah, I bet. And the sound that you've made with this record, was it the sound you wanted, or is it just how it turned out in the end?
It is definitely the sound I was hoping for. Although I will say I don't really aim for a genre or anything like that when I start writing a song or making a record. I just want each song to be the best version of itself to what I have in my head, what I'm picturing. So honestly, if the whole album ended up being polka or something, as long as that's what's best for the songs, then that would have been perfectly fine with me. But yeah, I think we really achieved the perfect blend of indie pop, indie rock, singer songwriter, and experimental. What the heck? Especially with the first song, "Welcome to the Show." That is what I can only describe as like circus horror pop or circus horror rock, which is not a very common genre. Obviously, it sounds like something you'd see in your Spotify Wrapped, but
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm sure you wrote more than what made it onto this record. What happens to those now? Are you going to consider them next time around, or do you think you'll just start again?
well, the thing is, I write something every day, whether it's a full song or just a chorus or even just a line. I got very good advice from one of my singing instructors when I was a young teenager to just write something every single day. And if you don't like it, fine, still keep it, just keep the recording or whatever, and maybe you'll come back to it later and do something with it. Or if you love it, then you have something that you can work with. So, I mean, realistically, by the end of the year, I have 365, uh, give or take one day, depending on the year, snippets of songs or songs, full songs that I can work with. And so, some of those are winners and I love them. And that's how I ended up with the album. And some of them are like, oh, wow, that no one would write that on purpose. I don't know what was happening that day. But yes, the short answer is I have a lot of songs that I've written before, songs that I've been writing since, that I am working on recording as we speak, actually. I'm planning on going back to Barcelona soon to record my next EP,
Oh,
actually.
nice. Nice. How's the new EP sounding?
It's very intense so far. It's supposed to sort of continue the story of my life. So language barrier is a very specific point in my life. And what's following after it is this next very specific part of my life. But I feel like I'm really capturing the feelings of what I'm trying to articulate, and I feel like a lot of people will resonate with it as well. I'm just in the process of finding that balance between, I'm sharing my feelings and, whew, this is a bit heavy, but it all comes into this full story that I'm trying to create. So
Nice.
fingers crossed.
Yeah, absolutely. And you mentioned about the little snippets of things you have throughout the year that you can piece together. How do you take those little snippets and turn it into a song?
So what usually will happen is I'll just be, walking to my car or walking down the street, or I'll witness something happen and I'll get an idea in my head, or I'm literally like folding laundry or something and I just have an idea, or I specifically sit down and try to record something, like with a guitar or piano or whatever. And when that happens, if I don't feel like I can expand on it more, I'll just let it sit. I'll put it away. I'll like keep it in the back burner for a while. And then if my brain permits, if I don't completely forget about it, eventually I will come back to it and go, okay, this is something I can expand on later, or not ready yet. That's actually what happened with the second to last song on the album, Language Barrier, with Bones. It's the title song of my EP that came out before. I made that song. I made half of a song months and months before I went to Barcelona to finish recording Language Barrier, and it wasn't supposed to be on the album. And I go to Barcelona and I play it for my producer and my other guitarist. I have two, but my guitarist Oscar Garcia Bragazo, who also helps me to work on my songs. He listens to my songs and goes, "That's great," or "Why are you? What's going on here?" Um, but I played it for them, and they listened to what I had, and they both looked at each other and looked back at me and were like, "Why is that not on the album? Like that needs to be on the album. It's literally the story of what we just told with everything else here." That happens every once in a while where I'll stumble across something again, simply because I decide to go through my notes or my voice memos, or someone goes, "What other songs do you have?" And I just stumble across something and I go, "Oh yeah, that was actually something I was pretty proud of," and then it ends up being part of a bigger project.
Yeah, nice, nice. And I'm sure your fans will want to see you doing some live shows. What's your plans?
Oh gosh. So I just had a show at Dingwall's actually, but I can't say whether I have any upcoming shows immediately. Nothing's confirmed. But if you go to my website, which is catleacreates.com, that's CATLEACREATES.com, it will you'll have, first of all, access to everything, all my social media, my music, my merch, all of that. But you'll also be able to see any upcoming shows that are confirmed as the weeks go on, because we're definitely working on some stuff.
Is there anywhere you want to play that you've not played before?
I mean, there's a million places. There's so many places. I think realistically, my next big goal is the Electric Ballroom in Camden. That would be
Hmm.
lovely. Um, Pie in the Sky, Wembley.
Yeah, absolutely. Catlea, it's been a pleasure having a chat with you.
Yeah, it's been lovely to talk to you, Jim. Thank you so much for having me.